Hi guys, first of all I want to thank you all for clicking on my video. I hope you enjoy it, and if you do, you should definitely consider hitting that subscribe button. Now in this video I want to create a shot plotting visualization in Power BI using SportLogic's PWHPA data. So there is a women's hockey analytics conference coming up on July 15th. And because of that, there is a competition where you can enter with a visualization using SportLogic's data. So that's kind of the process here. So I'm in the process of building a visualization or multiple visualizations in one. And this is just the first step. So the idea is that I want to create a visualization and at the same time do tutorial videos just showing you how you can do it as well. So initially when I heard there was a women's hockey conference coming up, I thought I would do a workshop where I would show how you could do visualizations in Power BI. But now that there's also a competition, it seems smarter to just create a visualization and then make videos at the same time. This way you can hit two flies with one smack. If you say that, I don't know. It's a Danish saying. Yeah, so that's kind of the idea behind this project and these videos that are coming up. So in this video, we are focusing on shot plotting. Now the SportLogic data is a lot more detailed than what we're used to work with. So just making shot plots is perhaps not utilizing the data to its full potential, but this is just a start and we'll be building on from here. But as I said, in this video we want to focus on shot plotting. So what we want to end up with is a visualization looking something like this. So it's just simple shot plots based on a player selection. So in this case, you have shots plotted. Now they are plotted, the shape and the colors of the plots depend on the shot event. So blue circles are shots on net. I guess beige triangles are misses. Pink squares are goals. And the red ones are shot blocks or shots that are being blocked later on. So that's the visualization. So you can select a different player, and then the image should of course change, and the logo of the team will change as well. And besides from that, you can filter a few different things. So you could look at different strength states. So you can look at power play shots only, or you could filter by playoffs or regular season. You could filter a single game. And if you want to look at multiple games, you can just hit the control button and add games. You can even look at specific shot types. So you could look at slap shots, for instance. Or you could look at a specific shot event. So now you're only looking at goals. So we can see here that Alex Carpenter is primarily scoring from the slot. And that's what we want to build. This isn't overly complicated, but I think it's a beautiful visualization and it's not that difficult to make in Power BI. So that's the point of this video, is to show that it's not necessarily that difficult to do. Okay, so the data that we're using is is private data. It's Sportlogic's data. So this means that I can't really publish the data, can't really allow you to download it. But let's just take a look at it. So here's the Excel file with all the Sportlogic data, and this is what it looks like. So as you can see here, there's almost 137,000 events being tracked, and that's quite a lot considering it's relatively few games compared to an NHL season, for instance. So this means that the data here is really, really detailed. You got passing data, you got zone entries, zone exits, puck recoveries, and so on and so on and so on. It's very detailed compared to what we're used to in the public sphere. So I haven't done a whole lot of the data preparation. I've just done a few things here. So first of all, I've added a event number column here, just so that every event has a unique ID. This is something that's useful when we are building a visualization. Other than that, I've created a shot event column, which just tells us if it's a shot, if it's a miss, if it's a goal, or if it's a blocked shot. Now, this is not something you could see directly in the original data. You would have to combine information from multiple columns. So I just created a column where you got all the data in, or you got all the information about the shot event in one column. So this is something we're going to use in the visualization as well. Okay, so the next thing I did was that I created a table with just the shots. It's not really necessary. You could create the visualization based on all the events, but I think it's just easier to overview things if we create a table with just the shots. So that's what I done. I just filtered it so that, like you see here now, the event numbers doesn't go from 1 to 137,000, but you just select the shot events. And if we click here, we see that there's only 4,500 shot events in the data set. Okay, the last thing I did before I started creating the visualization was that I looked up images of players and images of the team logos. So I created a table with the player name, player position, team of the player, and a link to a image of the player. So these links, these images are just found on the PWHPA website. Could just go there. So it's right here. So these are the images I used, and as you can see, there are some players without an image. It's just an avatar, and in that case, I'm just using that same avatar. So it's not, we don't have images of all players, unfortunately. Okay, and I did the same thing for the team logos. It's just the team and a link to an image. And that's all I really did with the data for this visualization. So now we want to load the data onto a Power BI project. But before we can do that, we need to close the Excel workbook because you can't load the data with the file open. So here's the Power BI project, and this is what it looks like when you open a new project. So we can just click on Get Data, and it will take just a few seconds. Yeah, and then we want to get the data from an Excel workbook, and it's on the desktop. John's called Women's Hockey Hack. And then all we need for this project is the shot data table, the player table, and the team table. So you could transform it if you wanted to change some things in the data, but it looks fine and it's perfect. So we'll just say load it, and it will just take a few seconds here. Yeah, so that's it. So now we can go to the data view and we can see all the models, all the tables here. So you got the player table, you got the shot event table, you got the team table. And that's all we need. The last thing we need to ensure is that the tables are related, or so that there's a relationship between them. Now we'll just move this one up a bit. So here we can see that there's a relationship between team in the team table and team in the players table. Team to team. And there's a relationship between the player in the player table and the player in the shot data table. So what this means is that if you filter this table based on players, for instance, then it will also filter the shot data table. This is really important when it comes to creating the visualization. Okay, so we'll just go to the visualization part, and Power BI is set up like this. It's just a blank canvas and you can add visualization to it. So the first thing we want to do is we want to add a slicer where you can select the player. So it looks like this. Really simple. And we just go to players and we add player to that slicer. So now you have a slicer with all the player names. Now we don't really want them to be in a vertical list like this. So we can go to format the visualization and then slicer settings, and we want a drop down list instead. So now when you hit here, you can see all the players and you can select one player. We also want to ensure that you're only selecting one player at a time. So we'll say single select. So now you can just select one player at a time. Okay. The final thing I want to do right now is to just say it's difficult to go all the way down to find the player you're looking for. So you can click on these three dots, and then you can add a search function. So now you can write in, let's say, Kessel, and you find Kessel. This just makes it easier. Okay. So now we have a slicer where you select the player, and then all the tables are filtered so that they only look at rows where that player is selected. Okay, next step is I want to add images of the player and images of the team that the player is playing for. So you can do that in a few different ways, but the easiest and the best way, I think, is to add a custom visualization where you just can enter the image URL. So what we need to do is we need to click on these and get more visuals. and click on it. So this will perhaps take a few seconds. Yeah. And then we'll just say image here. And I'm usually using this simple image visualization. It works. That works fine. So we need to add that one. And it was successful. Great. And then we'll just add it here. Yeah. And then it's, like I said, it's really simple. We'll just take the image URL and it should show an image of Alex Carpenter. And if we change the player, the image will change as well. So we'll then do the same thing for the team logo. So now instead of taking the image URL from the player table, we just do the same from the team table. And there's a mistake here because it always shows the Adidas logo. That's because this relationship only goes one way. So the way it looks right now, you can only look up team and then it will filter the player table, but it's not going the other way. So we just need to ensure that this relationship can go both ways. And apply the changes. So now we can see that the team logo changes when you change the player as well. Perfect. So the next step is to actually add the shot plots to the visualization. So shot plotting is basically just a scatter plot. So we'll just create a scatter plot here. Something like this. And then all we have the x value, x coordinates and y coordinates here. So basically we just need to add the x coordinates and the y coordinates. So now the problem is that it sums all x's and all y's on shots taken by Alex Carpenter, and that's not really what we are looking for. We are looking for the x coordinate and y coordinate of each and every shot. So we can do that in two different ways. So we can either say just don't summarize. So now we have all the shot attempts plotted on a graph. Now the alternative to this is to still have it as sums, but then under values you put in shot event. So now it's not shot event, sorry. You put in event number. So now it sums the x coordinates of each event, which is basically the same as not summing the data, not summing the x values, because each event has a unique ID. Now it's just important to understand both ways, because sometimes you need to have to do it this way. Okay, so we'll just leave it at that. Now we got all the shots plotted. That was really simple. And then, as we saw in the final visualization, we want to differentiate between shot events. So on the legend, we can just put shot events. So now there's a different color for all blocks, for all goals, for all misses, for all shots. So we are actually almost there now. Next thing is we just need to plot it on a ring, and we need to remove all the axis and so on and so on and so on. So we'll just go to the visualization part here. And the first thing we need to do is we need to ensure that the range is correct. So a hockey rink always has to go from -100 to +100, at least on a North American rink. And we don't want the title. It's not really necessary. And we don't want the axis. Then we do the same for the y. Don't want the axis. We want it to go from -42.5 to +42.5. And we don't want the title. Yep. So now we have all the shots plotted on a blank background, on a white background, perhaps I should say. So I prefer to have the legend at the bottom center. And because it's obvious what block goal miss shot means, I don't think we need the title here. And obviously we need to plot it not on a blank background, but on a rink. So we just say plot area background, and we just find an image of a rink. I got one here, full rink, and it's not really fitted, so we'll just say fit. Now sometimes the transparency is at 100, then you just need to put it to 0. Yeah. So this doesn't really look correctly, but now it does. And then there's no need to have the title here. That's a stupid title anyways. So we'll just go to general and remove the title. Okay. So next thing we can do is we can go here and change the names because they are very long. Just call it X. Just call it Y. Event number, short event, that's fine. We can change the size of each marker based on the XG value. So that's this one. Sum of XG all attempts. The plots are very big now, but we can change that in just a second. No need to call it all of this. We'll just call it XG. So now we can hover over a shot and it shows the XG value of that shot, and it shows the X and Y coordinates. So that's all fine. If we wanted some other information, we could just put that information on the tooltips. So let's say we wanted information about the period, then we could see here it was in the second period, first period, but not really that interesting. Yeah, I think there was one thing more I wanted. What was that? Well, doesn't matter. Let's just go to the visualization part, and then we can go to the markers. And obviously we need to make these smaller. So I think I went with 22 or something like that. Maybe larger, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Depends on what how you think it looks. And then we can change the coloring. I think because blocks are negative, block shots are negative, we could make that red. Goals, I made it pink in the other one, and this one was beige, something like this, and the shots were shot on nets were blue. And then we also had different shapes for each shot event type. So we can go blocks, this shape, and goals are squares, misses are triangles, and shots on net are circles, but it's already circles. So now the shot plotting part I think is finished. Maybe just the last thing is I can remove the padding, so I can make sure the graph is all the way to the side. So for some reason it's not fully at the top, but it's as close as it gets. Okay. So next thing is we want to add a few more filters here. So we'll just add a slicer. And in this slicer, we want shot type. Actually, we want string state. So we'll just add string state, and we'll have it as a drop-down list. And here you should be able to select multiple selections. So you can select even strength and power play, or you can select all. Yeah. So we'll just copy this slicer. And we can add a slicer where instead of string state, it's shot event. So now you can select between block, goals, misses, and so on. We'll just copy this again. Copy one more. And copy one last one. We'll do some things on the design part later on, but for now we'll just add all the slices. So this one should be date. Yeah, so here you can select a single date, just like that. And this one should be shot type. Just remove that one, so that you can select what kind of shot it is. Oh, just remove this one. Yeah. And the final one will be, actually I think we have it the other way around here. So it's shot event down here, and then it's season stage up here. So you can select if it should be playoffs or regular season. So now we have all the features of the shot plot visualization. So the final part I want to do is I want to work on the design. So That's actually easier to do in PowerPoint. So you can create a background in PowerPoint and then use that background as the background for this canvas. That is probably the easiest way to do it. Now I just want to make this a bit larger. Yeah. So this is where I've cheated just a little bit. So I already have a PowerPoint with a background, and this is made really simple. It's just shapes, just rectangles, and the coloring is just a gradient here, going from blue to a bit lighter, blue to a little lighter, and then I've just added rectangles with a light gray coloring and added shadows. So you can add shadows, outer shadow. That's what I've done. And then I've added my logo and said that it's this by me, and the data comes from Sport Logic. And finally, I just created a rectangle in the middle. I'm not really using this one in the visualization, but it's just a way to so that I know how large the ring should be in the Power BI project, because this one is the ratios. The ratio in this one is 200 to 85. So it's just to help me make the ring the correct dimensions. Okay. So all we have to do is we have to save this PowerPoint project as an image. So we'll just say save a copy and put it on the desktop. And then instead of a PowerPoint presentation, it has to be a image file. So we'll just use PNG. And as you can see, there's already one here. So we'll just say replace it. And then just hit just this one slide. And then all we need to do is we need to put in the slide as the background here. Now, I'm not using 16:9 as the canvas setting, because when you take photos, take images of the visualization, I think it's nicer to have it a bit higher. So I'm usually going with 800 here. But that's obviously up to you what you want. But this is what the PowerPoint images fit to fit, if you can say that. So now we just need to change the canvas background, and it was on the desktop Power BI. And as you can see here, the transparency is 100%. That needs to be 0%. And then we need to fit it. So now we are almost there. Maybe we should just move, this over here for now. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to just put these the correct size. Yeah, something like this. This one a little bit smaller, maybe like that. And then obviously it has a white background now, so we just need to remove the background. Same thing over here. Need to remove the background. Yeah. And all of these, we can just select them all at once. We need to remove the backgrounds. And also we need to remove the headers. Just go here, remove the headers, and then I think I went with 22. Okay. So then it's just about fitting all of this. So I already know what the sizes should be. It should be 75, 191. It should be 902. And it should be 10. Down here, it should be 75, 191. It should be 902. And it should be 90. So this one should be 75, 269. 632 and 10. And this one should be 75, 269. 632 and 90. And this one, need to hit it the right way. It should be 75, 457. Should be 177 and 10. And this one should be 75, 457. And it should be 177 and 90. Okay. So now all the slices are put directly above the correct background, the gray background. And you can just select the player and things are looking nice. Then we just need to fit this one so that it fits nicely, or at least almost nicely. It's not that important. So we'll just do something like this. Yeah. And the last thing is that I just want to add a shadow to this one. It makes it stand out just a bit more. So just go to General, go to Effects, and add a shadow. We could perhaps even move this a little bit. Something like this. I think that's it. It looks pretty nice now. It looks a lot like the one I showed you in the beginning of the video. So now all we have to do is we have to just save it. And we can just save it as Women's Hockey Hack 1 perhaps, because it's the first video. And just click save. And then we can publish it. You need an account to publish. But if you have a Microsoft Office, Office 365, then it's part of that. So you don't have to pay anything for it, but at least I don't pay anything. So I think it's free only if you have the Office 365. Maybe it's free for all, I don't know. So we'll just open this one on the Power BI service, is this one called. And then from here on, you can publish to the net. So you just go to embed report and you can say publish to web, create embed, publish, and there's a link here that you can just copy. Then you can share this link, and if you open it, it opens the project on the web. And you don't need Power BI or anything, you can open this on any computer. So this is what it looks like. What we just made looks very similar to this one. I'd say just a little bit larger ring here, but all in all, pretty much the same thing. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I will be doing a few more showing more things you can do in Power BI. So I think that will be it for now. Goodbye.